boy, another doubleheader. Yeah, we were at a wedding last night and had a whole bunch of work to do tonight, and I still managed to watch the baseball game, so I'm actually rather impressed with myself about those things. But I didn't make a video last night, and this one's going to be short. I'm justifying that by saying after tomorrow night's game is 1/3 of the way through the season, 54 games. So we'll be able to do a more in-depth look at where the team is at after that video. So this one's going to be short and sweet. First, yesterday's game. Jays win 12-3. Everything came up Blue Jays in this one. Teo had 3 hits. Vlad had a home run on a ball that he had no earthly business hitting anywhere at all, let alone out of the ballpark. Alejandro Kirk could not stop hitting the baseball. Even Matt Chapman, the only guy who did not get a hit in the starting lineup, still managed to get a walk and score 2 runs. So really, this was the ideal offensive performance for this Toronto Blue Jays squad. This is what they're capable of. Power up and down the lineup, lots of clutch hitting, lots of pitches taken, lots of walks, lots of grinding down the opposing pitchers, but still taking advantage of mistake pitches when they're made. It was beautiful. It was an offensive tour de force from this baseball team. We've been waiting for it. We only had to wait 2 months, but whatever, man. We saw it. It's here. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's do this forever, shall we? Arguably even more memorable than the offensive explosion, which, if you've been following my videos, you know I have been saying has been coming for a couple weeks now, was the return to form of Jose Barrios. Whew, big exhale, everybody. In what was probably his best start of the season, Jose was able to rack up a career-high 13 strikeouts on only 90 pitches. That's really hard to do. 7 really strong innings. He gave up a couple runs early, and I think people were ready to hit the panic button again right then and there, but he settled right in and was nigh unhittable the rest of the way. A wonderful performance from Jose. I've been bandying the word ace about so much this year, mostly when talking about Gausman and Manoah, and with good reason. Those guys are probably both going to the All-Star game for this club. Jose is the guy who's supposed to be the ace, right? He's the guy who got the 7-year extension. He's the guy who's the 2-time All-Star already. He's the guy who's pitched in Game 1 in the playoffs. He's supposed to be the guy. And I think that's tripped a lot of people up when talking about him, because you look at his numbers and they're not great. Honestly, he has not performed up to par with what you would expect a guy who is being touted and hyped and paid like he is to perform. But at the same time, it's not like he's gone out there and stunk up the joint. It's that he's pitched well, and then things fall apart. And then he pitches well, and then things fall apart. Or a mistake pitches left hanging. Or just something is not quite finished. A detail is not quite completed. His pitches look like they should be unhittable. They bend every which way, nothing is straight, everything seems to be around the strike zone, generally speaking. It's just like, for whatever reason, he's either out of the strike zone just a little bit or eminently hittable, like far too much. All of that suggests that the talent is in there. The ability to have a game like he had yesterday is in there. He's just got to be able to hit exactly that that sweet spot, right? That sweet spot more often than he does. Pete Walker was talking it up after this game, saying that he thinks that Jose has discovered a few things, that he has locked in on something, and Pete fully expects that Jose is going to get on a roll the next little while. Obviously, time will tell on that, but that's a good sign, because Pete hasn't exactly been coming out crowing about every good outing that Jose had so far, where it seemed like it was still a work in progress. Now, Pete feels like he's got something, and that's a good sign. So, the bats are hitting, the ace is pitching, the defense is picking it. This is a classic Blue Jays win, 12-3, but it was never, ever close. Oh, I gotta love that. How are you gonna follow that up? Jays lose 8-6 this afternoon in the final game of a 3-game set, meaning they lose a 3-game series against the Minnesota Twins. Now, that's no shame. Minnesota is the only good team in the American League Central. They are firmly a playoff team, and if the playoffs were to start today, the Blue Jays and the Twins would meet in the first round, so that's kind of interesting in and of itself. The distressing thing here was the defense really let Kevin Gausman down early. Both Vlad and Teo had some pretty questionable plays there. Teo losing it in the sun, I mean, I guess that happens, but you never want it to happen. It always feels like it's completely preventable. And there were a couple other times when plays were just not quite made, or frankly, plays that were made by the Twins that turned things on their scale. Like there was one time when we had a couple runners on for Kirk, and a ball hit kind of up the middle on the shortstop side. The shortstop comes up with an unbelievable play to turn a double play in that situation, when I think we were looking again, the Blue Jays getting a couple runs there. But literally, if the ball is like 1 degree more towards center field, if it was only like 2 inches further in center field, that's a base hit. The Blue Jays score at least 1 run there, and who knows what happens after that. Many sports are games of inches, and baseball, that's magnified even further, right? The difference between a home run and a foul ball, the difference between a run-scoring single and a double play. Yeah, it's on those kinds of plays that games turn, and in this one, it turned against the Blue Jays. The most distressing part about this game, really, I mean, sometimes you're going to lose a baseball game, and that seems pretty unsatisfying to say, but I mean, this wasn't quite one of those, but it was kind of one of those. You're not going to play at your best 100% of the time, and we're facing a quality opponent, and sometimes you're going to lose those games and whatever. The major takeaway here is that it seemed like Kevin Gausman was tipping his pitches. Most disastrously, it looked like he was tipping his splitter, which is like his thing he does. Seriously, his whole method of success is fastballs at the top of the zone and split fingers down in the dirt. Stop me if you've heard that one before. You take that splitter away from him, and now he's just a guy with a good fastball, and that won't work for very long. See Ryan Barucki. He threw a whole bunch of splitters that the Twins didn't even blink at in the first inning, and it got him into a lot of trouble. He had a lot of base runners. Guys were able to sit on his fastball, and they hit it, and the Twins got 3 runs right away before the Blue Jays even got a chance to bat. And then, tellingly, in the second and third innings, I don't think Gausman threw more than a handful of splitters the whole time. I think mostly because he was afraid he was tipping it to the Twins, that they knew it was coming. So yeah, before we worry about anything else, I mean, honestly, the offense made the game interesting. Vlad and Teo didn't have a good follow-up to the previous game. But Vlad is saying that he's still kind of figuring it out, still fighting it a little bit. He's still managing to produce a little bit while he's fighting it, but, that's more of his talent as a hitter. I'm not worried about those guys. They'll be fine. I'm far more worried about Gausman tipping his pitches, because that's something he's never worried about before, to my knowledge. Baseball has always been a copycat sport, and it's especially so right now, with everybody having immense video scouting capabilities at their fingertips ready. Like, I'm sure word had spread around to the next few opponents that the Blue Jays are going to have that, hey, Kevin Gausman's tipping his pitches in this start. I'll bet you every single video coach is out there trying to scour that to find what the Twins found before they have to face Gausman coming up. So I think Gausman has like 4 days to try to figure out how he tipped his pitches and fix that, because otherwise the same thing's going to happen again, because the next team is going to have that same information too. So to sum up, this homestand sweep of the Chicago White Sox, and when you get a sweep, you want to keep the good times rolling to really get the win totals up, but they followed that up with a series loss, meaning they finished the homestand 4-2. Still pretty good, not too bad. And the Blue Jays are 9 games over 500. Again, not too bad. And solidly in a playoff spot, considering that there are only 5 teams in the American League that have a record better than 500, and there are 6 playoff spots. So, yeah, I think, you look at the micro on each individual game, and you say you could have done this better, you could have done this better, you could have done this better, and you're right. But on the whole, pretty good homestand. Pretty good record where they're at, and they get to go on the road to Kansas City, where they get to feast on some awful starting pitching. I'm really looking forward to that. Having said that, you never want to take it for granted, because these are still big league clubs, and it's not like they're devoid of any talent whatsoever, but yeah, Blue Jays should score some runs in this series, so let's do that. So yeah, after tomorrow night's game, we will do a slightly more in-depth video, but for tonight, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching this video and this channel. Like and subscribe if you are so inclined. I will see you tomorrow night for the first of 3 in Kansas City, which is for some reason in Missouri. The United States cracks me up. We'll see you then.